The symbolism of Godzilla, from nuclear fears to environmental warnings. Hey there, monster fans. Ever wondered why a giant, radioactive lizard has captured our imaginations for over 6 decades? That's right, we're talking about the one and only Godzilla. From his first stomping ground in 1954 Tokyo to his latest big-screen brawls, Godzilla isn't just another movie monster. He's a symbol of fears, of warnings, and of the times we live in. Today, we're diving deep into the layers of meaning behind Godzilla's massive footprints. We'll explore how this legendary kaiju transformed from a metaphor for nuclear devastation to a herald of environmental warnings. The birth of Godzilla, nuclear anxieties. First things first. Let's rewind to Japan in the late 1940s and early 50s. The scars of Hiroshima and Nagasaki were still fresh, and the world had just witnessed the horrifying power of nuclear weapons. Then came the Lucky Dragon No. 5 incident in 1954, where a Japanese fishing boat was exposed to nuclear fallout from U.S. hydrogen bomb tests. This wasn't just news, it was a national trauma. Enter Ishiro Honda and Tomoyuki Tanaka, the creative minds behind Gojira. They wanted to channel these collective fears into something tangible. And boy, did they succeed. Godzilla was born, a colossal creature awakened and empowered by nuclear radiation. Not just a monster, but a walking, roaring embodiment of nuclear destruction. Symbolism in the original film. Watching the original Gojira is like looking into a mirror reflecting post-war anxieties. Scenes of Tokyo ablaze weren't just special effects. They echoed the real-life devastation of firebombings and atomic blasts. Godzilla wasn't evil by choice, he was a force unleashed by human tampering with nature's laws. Godzilla as a representation of nuclear fear. Think about it. Godzilla's radioactive breath could level cities in seconds. His skin, scarred and textured, resembled the keloid scars of radiation victims. He was unstoppable, much like the uncontrollable nature of nuclear fallout. The film hit Japan like a tidal wave. Audiences saw their own fears and experiences projected onto the big screen. Internationally, Godzilla introduced the world to a new kind of horror, not just jump scares, but deep, existential dread. Messages about nuclear weapons. At its core, the original film was a cautionary tale. It wasn't preaching but warning. If we continue down this path of nuclear proliferation, we're bound to awaken our own Godzillas. It's a powerful message wrapped in a thrilling narrative, a combo that has kept viewers hooked for generations. Evolution of Godzilla's symbolism over the decades. The Showa era, 1954 to 1975. During the Showa era, Godzilla's image started to shift. He went from being the villain to something of a hero, or at least an anti-hero. Movies like Godzilla vs. Mothra introduced new monsters and more fantastical elements. The tone lightened up, and Godzilla became a defender against even worse threats. The Heisei era, 1984 to 1995. But the 80s brought a change of pace with the Heisei era. The films returned to darker themes, reviving Godzilla's roots as a symbol of destruction. Nuclear fears were back in the spotlight, especially with events like the Chernobyl disaster reminding the world of nuclear power's dangers. The Millennium Era, 1999 to 2004. In the Millennium Era, the filmmakers got creative, reinventing Godzilla for a new generation. Advanced special effects and global issues took center stage. The themes were more varied, but the underlying message remained. Humanity's actions have consequences, often monstrous ones. Emergence of environmental themes. Changing global concerns. As the 20th century rolled on, a new fear emerged: environmental degradation. Pollution, deforestation, climate change, you name it. People started realizing that we might be our own worst enemies when it comes to the planet's health. Godzilla vs. Hedorah, 1971. Enter Godzilla vs. Hedorah, or as some like to call it, Godzilla vs. the Smog Monster. Hedorah was a creature born from sludge and industrial waste, a literal embodiment of pollution. The film took a bold step, shifting the narrative to focus on ecological disasters. Godzilla as nature's wrath. Godzilla began to represent more than nuclear fears. He became a force of nature's revenge, a warning that Earth's tolerance has limits. When humanity oversteps, nature pushes back, sometimes in the form of a gigantic, city-smashing lizard. Godzilla in modern cinema, environmental warnings. Shin Godzilla, 2016. Let's talk about Shin Godzilla. This film revamped the legend for contemporary audiences. It wasn't just about a monster attacking a city, it was a sharp critique of governmental inefficiency, especially in the face of natural disasters like the 2011 Tohoku earthquake and tsunami. Hollywood interpretations. And then there's Hollywood's take with Godzilla, 2014, and Godzilla, King of the Monsters, 2019. These films introduced the idea of titans as ancient beings maintaining Earth's balance. When humans disrupt that balance, cue the overmining and nuclear tests, the titans awaken. It's a clear nod to environmental themes and the concept of nature correcting itself. Current relevance. Today, with climate change headlines and environmental debates raging on, Godzilla's stories feel more pertinent than ever. He serves as a colossal reminder that our actions have far-reaching impacts. The Earth is a delicate place, and poking the beast, literally and figuratively, might not be the best idea. Global impact and cultural significance. Godzilla as a global icon. Godzilla isn't just a Japanese phenomenon anymore. He's a global superstar. From toys and video games to comics and memes, his influence is everywhere. Cross-cultural adaptations. It's interesting to see how different cultures interpret Godzilla. In Japan, he's deeply tied to historical events and cultural fears. Elsewhere, he might be seen more as a cool monster smashing things up. But universally, he taps into fundamental themes: fear of the unknown, consequences of hubris, and the struggle between humanity and nature. Legacy in media and art. Godzilla paved the way for the entire kaiju genre and inspired countless other monsters and stories. Without Godzilla, would we have King Kong facing off against him in an epic showdown? Probably not. His legacy continues to shape films, literature, and art, reminding us of the power of storytelling and symbolism. Reflection of society's evolving fears. From nuclear threats to environmental crisis, Godzilla's evolution mirrors our own shifting fears. Back in the 50s, nuclear annihilation was the big worry. Today, it's climate change and environmental collapse. Humanity's role and responsibility. At every turn, the underlying message is clear. We're responsible for the monsters we create, whether metaphorical or, in Godzilla's case, gigantic and scaly. The power of symbolism in film. This all goes to show how powerful films can be. They entertain us, sure, but they also reflect our deepest fears and hopes. Symbols like Godzilla resonate because they tap into shared human experiences and anxieties. So there you have it, a journey through time with everyone's favorite radioactive reptile. Godzilla started as a manifestation of nuclear nightmares and morphed into a symbol of environmental reckoning. His story is as dynamic as the times we've lived through. Godzilla isn't just about epic battles and city-sized destruction, though that's undeniably awesome. He's a reflection of us, our mistakes, and our potential to make things right. His enduring popularity shows that these themes are still hitting home. As Godzilla fades into the horizon, we're left to ponder our own path. Will we heed the warnings wrapped in his tales? The choice is ours.